All right, we're live on Facebook. Hello, hello.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get started.
What does healing really feel like?
All right, before we go into that, I want to do a quick comment from our newest program, Beyond Betrayal. We have, I think this is day 6 of our 7-day launch. So the sale ends tomorrow, or sorry, just ended. And this is a gal who just jumped right in. So when you get the program, you're able to go at your own pace. You can start right when you sign up or hold off. But she says, um, the first part of defining betrayal trauma. Wow, this hit home so hard. I have been in this cycle long enough trying to change who I am and to control the situation. I don't want to feel fear and despair anymore. I'm signing up for this course. Or I just signed up for this course and it's been perfect timing. I look forward to healing and using these tools. So thank you.
Awesome.
So Brannon, thank you. Thank you for putting in the time to create this with me. I think it's a powerful program because it includes both, right? Both worlds, my world, your world, and
Right.
the expertise.
Yeah. Well, and it gives words to things and defines things, educates. But beyond that, beyond the education part, we push people into the experience that they need to experience in order to get beyond betrayal, in order to heal. And really that's what we're talking about today is what does healing really feel like?
Mm-hmm.
What we want to do is illustrate, we talk about this elusive recovery thing out there. We want to illustrate what are some indicators and things that start to happen
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing really well, when you're in a healthy place emotionally, when you've started to heal from those deep, hard wounds of betrayal. I want to start with a story. My dad fell off his bike. My dad, he kicked like a frozen soccer ball or something in the middle of the winter, and he totally tore all the tendons in his ankle, and he needed surgery. And then he had like double hip replacement in the last 2 years. And then he fell off his bike and tore all his ligaments in his shoulder. He's an old man, and he
Oh.
needs to slow down a little bit and stop hurting himself. But he fell off his bike and he went into the doctor, and the doctor said to him, so he couldn't really lift his shoulder above his head and his arm above his head because his shoulder. And the doctor said to him, that looks pretty bad. You really injured it. He said, you're going to need surgery, and to recover from that surgery is going to take a year long of rehab. Like you're going to be in a sling for a year. And it was kind of daunting for him because here he is, like he can kind of use his shoulder, but not really. When the doctor's saying you're going to go from kind of being able to use your shoulder to not being able to use your shoulder for a year. And you look at that and, naturally we don't want to go harm ourselves and make things harder for ourselves.
Totally.
But in this example, Ashlynn, it's obvious as to why he would go have that surgery, right? Why would he go have that surgery?
Because he's going to feel better as he
Yeah.
steps into that, right? And he's going to an expert. I'm sure he's not just at a dentist asking for his shoulder pain.
Right. Yes. Hopefully not. Um, yeah, he's going to an expert. He's going to somebody who knows how to reconstruct it. But here's the other thing. Another part of it is once he has that surgery, that surgery can either turn into locking his shoulder up even more and giving him arthritis, or it can turn into healing. But he's got to go to physical therapy twice a week and do all these exercises that he hates doing and they're uncomfortable. He's got to go do that twice a week until his shoulder actually starts to fully heal. So it kind of sucks. What I'm saying is, but you can see where I'm going with this, right? Is I think physically and with surgery, it's easy to see it. Yeah, I'll go through physical therapy. I'll have the surgery because I need my shoulder back. But what about getting you back? What about facing the emotional wounds and the pain and the spiritual wounds and even the sexual wounds? What about facing that really hard stuff, which in the short run isn't very fun to face? It's
Mm-mm.
difficult. Your relationships might get harder before they get better. Your journey with God might get more difficult before it gets better. But if you're not willing to turn and face things and root it out and cut yourself open a little bit, so to speak, nobody go cut yourself, please.
Yeah, yeah.
But cut that infection out, then you're gonna stay swirling, wishing that you were healed. And so, you know, Ashlynn, your favorite thing is the buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and the buffalo's courageous because it turns and it faces things. When storms come, it turns head on and walks toward that storm. So
It's interesting, Brannon. I listened to you tell that story on social media last week, and I loved it. But for some reason, it didn't click that I have a similar thing, like my back being fused. It's like the whole process. I had a year off. I did all the same things, and I've been this back fusion for 26 years now. It's still a part of me. But is it
yeah,
something I think about every day? No.
no, right,
It's not, but is it something that can still affect parts of my life? Yeah. But it's not in this like, why? It's just like, oh yeah, I have this like crazy back and I stand up straight and I have to do things a little different. So it makes me really reflect on my own story of moving through this betrayal and through this pain to find healing. It is still a part of me. It is still part of my story and my life, but it isn't something that I'm dwelling and thinking on every day. I had a gal in group today who's right in the smack middle of heartache and the messy middle, and for her to see beyond that feels just like hopeless. Like, how am I
yeah,
ever going to get to that place? And she says, I hope I get to a place where like I can just live with it. And I thought, no, like
no,
that's not my goal, is to help you
uh-uh,
live with it. My goal is to help you live your life. And
right,
like you said, to like find you. And
yes.
the goal is not to just say, oh, okay, that I was terrible and bad and let's
He
think
so
about it and bring it up every day.
so you just said a couple of things I want to highlight. One is when you're in healing, when you're in recovery, what that doesn't mean is that all of the stuff that has happened just goes away. Like you're in la la land and you pretend like it never happened and you're moved on. No, like your back's a good example. You still have that in your back. It still affects your life. It just doesn't consume your life. You're
Yeah.
aware that it's there. It's had an impact on your life, but you're moving on. Um, so yeah, there's that. Oh, the other point that you made was really good. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Who
Uh,
knows? I said a lot of jumbled up things, but
no, you said a lot of wise things,
oh,
Ashley.
I'm guessing it's I have to live with this. I hope I get to a place to live with it.
That's it. Yes. So that's the other thing is in treatment, like my dad could learn how to live with a nagging shoulder
Mm,
injury, and he could actually figure out how to be somewhat happy with this nagging shoulder injury,
mhm,
and not be able to lift his arm and things like that. Um, it's really up to you. You can learn how to survive with your suffering, or you can learn how to go for the healing.
mhm.
And the healing is far beyond surviving with the suffering. Like, oh, I hope I can live with the fact that I've been cheated on. No, hopefully it's beyond that to I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be like I'm going to have peace and I'm going to be empowered. um and part of it is because I've been through this hard thing.
Mhm.
uh, right.
It makes me think of I think if you haven't done this in your life, you're skilled and you're amazing. But I think most of us step into the comfort of discomfort without realizing we're in discomfort, right? Like
Yes.
ignoring the pain. I did that with my physical back pain for a long time before I finally went to a specialist and said, okay, it's hurting more. The reality is I might have to get another surgery, and I didn't want that.
Yep.
And so to step into that was like, I mean, basic self-care, call the freaking doctor. I didn't
Yeah.
want to do it
Yeah.
because I knew the outcome could be more fusion, which it was. And it was, for me, I took this long process of 3 years of saying, okay, we're going to work with the doctor. We're going to try all the other things before we say the hard fix is another fusion. So I still lived with that pain. I still have pain here and there. But it is this, for a long time, I thought it's better if I just like, the discomfort is better than going and getting it fixed. And so I kind of numbed it, right?
Yes. I think physically we do it all the time. It's like right now I broke a rib, and my wife is like, go to the doctor and deal with your rib. And I'm like, that's fine. It'll get better. I'm not dealing with it. And then like every time I move, I wince, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, go to the doctor. Physically we go into denial, and we would rather live in we would rather be uncomfortable in our suffering than face the pain. Now with emotional pain, and Tiku saying hi, it sounds like.
So sorry.
Tiku can join the podcast, Ashlynn. With emotional pain, physical pain is one thing, because it's like I can't function. I can't shovel the snow or mow my lawn or sleep at night because I can't lay on my rib, right? So it gets to a point where that suffering and that pain so much, you'll eventually face the pain.
Mm-hmm.
With emotional pain or spiritual pain, sometimes that type of pain is pain that we can allow ourselves to sit in for longer.
I would agree.
We can hide it better, pretend like it's not there, be in denial about it.
And I think for me, I was just mindless about it. Like, I just thought, I'm just mad. I can be mad. I can show up this way because whether it was subconscious or not, I was valid in the way I was showing up. There was so much reason behind it, right? I had a gal reach out over the weekend who said, my husband had an affair 7 years ago. So we never really got help for it, but I forgave him. And yet he's frustrated with me because he's like, get over it. Why aren't you over it? It's 7 years ago. I haven't done it again. Why do you bring it up here and there?
Uh-huh.
And the answer, we know, is exactly what you're talking about, that emotional pain that she never was able to process.
She hasn't dealt with.
Yeah. And so she's like, is this program for me? Am I going to dig up all this awful stuff that we didn't deal with 7 years ago? And we're kind of in an okay place. And I said, you're not going to like my answer. And she didn't, but she said, I know you're right. I know that the right answer is to dig into it. Things might get worse, but in order for them to get better, I have to be able to really be heard in my pain and the impact that his actions had on our family, on my physical health, on all of these different areas of my life that maybe I've been mindless and just ignoring.
Right. So Ashlynn, I want to talk about the other side of it. So let's say this woman, she digs in. It's been 7 years, and she does it. Let's say she works our program, or she works another program, or whatever it is. She digs in. She faces the pain. She deals with her deepest, darkest demons. She lets go of the relationship some, and on the other side of it, so she goes through the process of healing. On the other side of it, what will she start to experience? What will she start to feel?
For me, one of the first things that I noticed was I would call it empowering feeling of I have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, whether it was true or not, I didn't feel like I had a voice, that my opinion mattered, that my needs mattered.
So when you're swirling around in the pain and the betrayal, you feel somewhat helpless.
Yes.
And when you're in recovery, you feel empowered, and you know that your words actually mean something.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and that my actions, like if I say, hey, I'm going to self-care was this like thing over here that people did that I didn't understand. And then when I just little basic things like, hey, self-care is important for you to build up, a foundation so that you can take on when the kids come home ornery from school or whatever it is,
right.
right? I didn't understand that. But in the beginnings of recovery, when I really started to take these baby steps, little things, I started to feel that like, oh, the empowerment of it matters if I take care of myself.
Right.
And
Oh,
I'm valid in taking care of myself.
okay. So listen to what you're saying. You're saying a lot in what you're saying. You're saying I felt empowered. I felt, um, I felt that I could love myself.
Yeah.
I'd take time for me. I
Like a
practiced.
worthiness
Yeah, I was
almost.
worthy of that love, and I didn't feel guilty about that. Um, Such good stuff. So, okay, your words actually mattered. Your voice was more clear. Your truths were more apparent. You were living in that truth more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so all of this is good stuff, Ashlynn. Um, and you can feel those things. You can feel more resilient to your shame,
Yes.
more healthily boundaried, more hope, just more hope in your life. You see possibilities. You see the sun rise in the morning, and it's beautiful. Um, and all of these things start to happen when you start to get healing and in recovery. And then you have your hard day, you have the
Mm-hmm.
trigger, and then what happens?
Everything goes out the window and it's all for naught. No, it feels like that for a
Doesn't it feel
second.
that way? Yeah.
Yes. And then you're like, we haven't come anywhere. I've done
What's the whole
nothing.
point?
Yes. Like I'm just
Uh-huh.
gonna give it all up. So yeah, I think all of us still have those days. Um,
But I think in healing, you realize that you're going to have those
yeah.
days. And you realize that life is a big, long process. And you bounce back a lot faster.
Yes.
When you're not in healing, you just, those days really wipe you out for a long time. But you're a bit more resilient. You bounce back faster. You feel hope quicker.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I think, wow. I've mentioned before, I used to be in a place where in Betrayal, I was just a mean friend, I would say. I wasn't happy for others, and I definitely judged a lot of others and my friends, especially. Um, when I started feeling different about the people in my life and I started cheering them on with like my authentic heart, I
Mhm.
really, truly was happy for others. Um, I think that for me was like, oh, like I'm becoming the person that I was before this. I can be like, it's not that I'm
Right.
changing who I am. It's the like unraveling this mess that has kind of like choked who I was.
So you just nailed it, Ashlyn. And a lot of people think when I'm in healing, I'm going to work my way to be a better person and be happier. And the fact of the matter is what you discover when you start to heal from something like betrayal trauma is you start to discover yourself again. So it's actually unwinding all of the shame, all of the
Mhm.
fear, all of the experiences that you've had that say that you're not enough or that you're going to get abandoned or rejected. And you start to realize I'm lovable. I'm a daughter of God. I have worth. I'm beautiful, and I always have been, and that's always
Mhm.
been there. And so I feel comfortable in my own skin and happy with who I am and happy with the direction of my life.
It's
Um,
it's interesting because I think a lot of the gals I get to work with, we all think we're confident coming into this, and then our partner betrays us and it's like the world ends. And what happened to all that confidence and the success and all our happiness? um, I think what we find more often than not is that it was like this false sense of um, you don't know what you don't know, right? And
yeah,
so I
yeah.
thought I loved myself. I thought I loved who I was and all these parts of me. But as I stepped into this part of my season of recovery and started to really own, oh wait, I turns out didn't love myself. I beat myself up
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
And so finding myself and the love for myself, my body, my mind, my spirit, all of it, that was a different feeling.
Well, and you're saying it in a way where it's like you thought you had it, but then you
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that you actually didn't. So another thing that happens in healing is you gain wisdom, like real wisdom of deep truths of healing. And so all of these things, it's amazing when somebody gets in recovery, to me, Ashlynn, what they realize is that they're imperfect, that they're going to make mistakes, that life's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging, and all of that stuff doesn't go away. But one thing happens: they gain this resilience to life. They gain this, like, everything's an opportunity. It's this growth mindset. It's hope found everywhere. And knowing you can create safety and peace unto yourself,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what your partner does or whatever, you just become resilient. And it doesn't mean that life's not hard,
Right.
but it makes life beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I think it's shown up in, yes, my relationship, but that resilience, it's even shown up in, like, okay, here I am on, I mean, I live a weird life on social media and here on the podcast where we get some hate, we get some heavy stuff sent our way. And if I wasn't resilient to that, I could totally take that personal and take it on as my own
Right.
stuff. Right.
Right.
So the fact that there was a time when that stuff affected my
Could
whole
rock your
day.
world.
Yeah. It can affect me like it's like a pinprick now rather than this lightning bolt that
Right.
totally knocks me out. And
Right.
I think that's really, if I had known going into this process, like, it doesn't take everything away. I think for some reason I thought that, kind of like when you go into surgery, like, I'm going to get a new shoulder. And it's like, the truth is your shoulder's never going to be the original
Right.
shoulder.
Right.
It's always going to be a little different.
Yep.
And so I guess mourning a little bit of that, like, okay, the life that I thought isn't, but now I get to create this new one. And now I feel like the life I had before, I feel like a lot of things were decided for me. A lot of things happened to me. And now I'm living the life where I get to choose.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
things may still happen to me, but I still get to choose. I
Yep.
get to choose. And for some reason, I didn't feel that before.
Yep.
I felt like this, almost like a victim without feeling like a victim, but it was like life just happened to me.
Yep. I love that, Ashton. I've heard this saying where when you start to shift from life is happening to me to life is happening for me, and then you can even take it a step further to God is working through me. You start to realize no matter what's going to come into your life, that there's a purpose, there's a plan, there's hope, there's moving forward. And that's what healing is. And you don't resonate in these heavy toxic energies of resentment and shame and guilt and anger. Those things you'll feel, but like your energy is not that. Your energy is hope, it's acceptance, it's peace, it's gratitude, and gratitude for the life that you have. And it's awesome. It's why I do this work, to see people go from those hard places and find that light and find that resiliency is just remarkable and amazing and a miracle. And so I love it. And I challenge anybody who is sitting there thinking, man, I want that. Go get it. It can be you. You can have it. You're going to have to maybe face some hard things and do some hard work, but you can have it. So, thank you for listening, you guys. Hopefully this gives you a little flavor of what healing is like. Ashlynn, any last words?
Yeah. I'm just going to amen to that, but also say, if you are already stepping into this journey, this isn't your first rodeo, this isn't your first podcast from us, I want you to look back, and whether it's saying, hey, who was I a month ago? Who was I a year ago? There is a change. And being able to recognize and see that and say, this is who I once was, and I'm becoming this person that I want to be, that was always within me. That
Absolutely.
having eyes to see our own progress is probably the hardest, because it's this day-to-day thing. So taking some time to just reflect a little bit on that would be good.
Yep. That's awesome.
All right, let's let him go. I'm just going to remind you, this episode does come out on Thursday, which there may be a bonus for you. So head over to it's linked in the show notes, but beyond-enough.com/beyond betrayal. And if you head over there today, you're going to get a bonus. So go
awesome.
do it.
Thanks, Ashlynn.
All right.
See you guys.